Hello and welcome, I'm Mystical, this is Mystical Gaming, we're back in a Watcher of Realms. Now remember the other day we did something about gear recommendations. Now I was just about to say that when Gear A2 finishes we'll want to sell our gear, so that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to jump over to that. So when we go over to the gear selling page, jump into our gear, there's the gear, so right, and there's the gear selling page. Now there's a couple of things to note about the gear recommendations. So firstly, gear pieces with the thumbs up label typically have better types of secondary attributes. Yeah, you know, well, we can pick and choose them now, so we know what we're after. Ancient and variant gear pieces always have a thumbs up label regardless of any rules. So any ancient gear, any variant gear you get, always have a thumbs up, worth remembering. The thumbs up label appears on gear icons on the gear acquisition stage. So when you're doing your raiding in the background, you can see it there when you look at your background fights. And the selling pages, they're the two places. Enhanced gear pieces won't show thumbs up labels. You can choose to hide the thumbs up labels anytime you want. Right, so working from the bottom up. So there's a little icon down here just behind me. There you go, and you can either hide it or not hide it. So preferably if you're putting in your gear recommendations, then you probably don't want to hide it. So there we go. And then the next thing I want to do is I come up to my gear sets here and I just scroll through the gear sets that I've put rules in for Gear A2. Now I'm going to stick with the less important ones because it's just going to be quicker and easier for us. So the stick set, that's not such a massive set for me. It's not one of the tier 2 pieces and it can't be ascended into one of them. So just going to go through those sets now. And they're the ones there that we've got from Gear A2. They're all the tier 2 pieces we might have. Now there's a couple of things we need to watch out for. Ancient pieces have the thumbs up. Ancient pieces that you've ascended don't, because any ascended pieces don't have the thumbs up, and that overrides the all ancient pieces have the thumbs up option, so bear that in mind. And then any other gear that you've rated up will also not have the ascended item. And then we can see down here we've got a few pieces of gear that's got it on. So I'm now in the gear selling page, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all. Now normally I wouldn't have all this level 16 gear here because I'd have gone through it and checked it anyway, but this being the first couple of times through, I'm still going to have all of that gear here. So I'm just going to unselect all of the other bits of gear. Now once I've got rid of all of that gear, I'm just going to go through and look for the stuff that's got the thumbs up icon. Unselect that. Now do I want to keep it? Crit rate, crit damage, boom, and a couple of other nice, yes, I'll keep that. And then I'm just working my way through the rest of the gear, looking at those sorts of things, whether I want to keep that piece of gear, because some of the rulings may not give what I want. So for example, I do always want on my damage pieces crit rate, but I can't select on the gear recommendation that must have crit rate on it. So unless I only select one option and it must have crit rate, or I only select 2 or 3 and it must have all of those options below. So I can't really specifically grant it just for those pieces. So I'm just going to go through those ones and check those ones that I wish to keep. So now I've gone through, I've checked everything that's got a thumbs up on it, whether I want to keep it or not, whether it's got the right substats for me, and everything else there. And we want to sell, and we make sure that we've got all of our rolled up gear and our ancient gear unchecked, and we have selected 140 or 120 something pieces. There we go, sold. That's them done. Now what we need to do now is come over to the screen where we want to roll some stuff up. So we're going back over here and we're now going to reselect all of our gear that we had, that we've just sold, or what we've got left from the selling. So now you've selected all the items you've had left over, same pieces as you just worked over from sold. These are all the items you want to keep. Now you want to make sure you've got Tales of the Smith on, because you can double down on your points, and then just roll everything up either to 4 or 8. I'm just going to roll some stuff up to 8, and then if it rolls well, we'll roll it up the rest of the way. How's that rolled well for us? Not overly, but not too bad. I'll have a little go and we'll roll it up to 12 to see what happens. Oh, that's going badly, it's going the wrong way for us, so we won't bother with it. And then we roll over onto our next piece, and then we can just check that as well. Roll that up to level 8. Once we've gone through all our pieces and rolled them up to 8, 12, 16, whatever we require, we can then go back over to the sell page again. And then lastly, we can select the gear that we previously selected. So we're back on to sticks, fractured curves, fertility, Guardian, and then anything we haven't rolled up to 16. So we can either select everything and then unselect anything that's not 16, or we can just select everything that hasn't rolled well enough for your account up to 16 and then go for there. So now you should just go through everything and make sure that you've rolled everything up. You can select everything that didn't roll well, and then we can sell that. And that is it, done. What I'm left with is these pieces from my Gear Raid 2. So there we go, it's not too bad. Now, we have got this piece here. Now, I will probably never roll that up because I'm always looking for crit rate as a substat on my stuff. So I'm never looking for crit rate ancient gear. So some of you out there may wish to think, well, actually, I'm just going to jog that on and get rid of it because I could do with the space in my bags in my inventory. Don't do that. Do not do that. Now, the reason I say this is because of this little snippet. It came from the Dev Insight. If you haven't watched the Dev Insight video, don't worry about it. It would just we'll bring it up here. So this question got raised in the Dev Insight a little while ago. This is more for in-game players, but could be a feature be added to address the ancient gear and unused items. I have over 25 crit rate mains stacked wangles, including 5 variants, and I'll never use. It feels wasteful to sell them, with them being so rare. Could the devs implement a feature to dismantle ancient items for useful materials? For example, and they don't ask for much, dismantle could return gear forge materials, refining crystal shards, or gear recasting hammer shards. And it's only asking for shards, not asking for a great deal. With better returns for dismantling dismantling variant gear, I've included a snippet of my crit rate ancient gear showing the variant pieces. I'm sure other players face similar issues, love the game and want to see it grow, and it feels like this problem will only get worse without a solution. Thanks for everything, and as always, keep up the great work. That's a question, and I think it's very well phrased, and it's a good point. So the devs wrote back and put this in there. Thank you for the suggestion, Commander. We have planned this feature. Details will be announced soon. So if you've got ancient gear, keep it. Keep it because of that. Don't get rid of it yet, because apparently you are going to be able to dismantle it, and that feature is coming soon. What's defined as coming soon, or announcements to be announced soon, now that's anyone's guess, but they have actually worked on a feature for this, so go careful with that. So with gear recommendations, you make up your own rules per Oracle trial that is on. It's probably the best way to look at it, and then maybe once a month you can reiterate those. When the Oracle trial ends, come along to the sell screen, sell off any gear that doesn't meet or hasn't come up with your requirement, but you should have already done that by now anyway, so it's not a bad thing. Now, when you get to Tales of the Smith, you'll be left only with gear that you don't want to sell and you want to roll up. All of that gear there you can select from the previous Oracle's trial, and you can roll that gear up to gain points in your Tales of the Smith event. Any gear that doesn't roll well, you can then sell. That's the end of gear cleansing for you. Now, once you have a new gear raid that comes on, so I'm now starting Gear Raid 3, I will then make up my rules for Gear Raid 3. When Gear Raid 2 comes back round again, I may feel the need to actually start changing some of those rules. Or it may be a month down the line that I may feel like changing some of those rules, and they probably won't change by much. But just to keep in mind that we can alter these rules as we go, okay? Right, thank you very much for your time. I hope this was helpful for you. Remember, keep your ancient gear, okay? Because you'll be able to dismantle it soon. Fingers crossed. If you could leave me a thumbs up, like and subscribe would help me out massively, and I'll see you all in a video again soon. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Goodbye.